104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens in the studio. Episode 166 of Dark Side of the Stream. This week was Jay's pick.
Yeah.
This is called The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It, documentary based around some of the ideas that a ufologist, Dr. Stephen Greer, has been putting forward for a long, long time. And
free energy.
We'll start there.
Yeah.
We'll start there.
That's what it should have. That's what it should have been primarily about. Yeah,
I agree. If something like that does exist,
Tesla seemed like he was working on that.
Tesla seemed like he was on the brink.
The Egyptians, I think, the pyramids, they say possibly were the reason.
Could have been using, and we'll get into some of the theories and stuff about that. But I wanted to start with the word "free" here. Last year, when all this stuff was going on, Jay and I were just could not get our aluminum hats on fast enough, texting each other every day. Can you believe this? Can you believe that?
Amazing
we're talking
stuff.
about disclosure, the possibility that we were going to get
UAPs, right? They were talking about
possibly early this year. And there's still hope that it might actually happen. But when that all was happening, this documentary was released.
Yeah.
But did Dr. Stephen Greer give away that information for free?
No,
he charged for it.
Yeah.
Just like when we tried to get this last year, and we wanted to talk about it, we're like, wait a minute.
No, we're not paying $10, $24,
$20 for this.
Was it 20?
Wait a minute, Dr. Stephen Greer. I thought you wanted all this stuff out there for free, man. So wait a minute. Hold on. If he's going to sit up on stage and he's going to knock all these corporations for stamping and stomping on patents and trademarks and all this technology that's keeping away free energy from the world, then why wouldn't you give away that information for free, Dr. Stephen Greer? I'll wait.
He's a
because you're a capitalist, just like them, just like everyone else trying to make money.
No, we don't need another dark stream where Mike's heated.
But still, like that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's the whole point of all this stuff.
The problem I have with Dr. Greer is he says some really great stuff, right? And then he'll say some stuff that's kind of outlandish. And you go, okay, either he's telling the truth, he's not telling the truth, or he's totally crazy. But the fact that he does deal with high-level government people, and he's like an advisor on those, that makes me think that he's not crazy and that he's maybe not lying. So some of his stuff is a little bit out there.
Remember what I said to you when this all started last year? I said stuff, that's not the word I used. Stuff floats.
Yeah.
And what the problem with happening with all this disclosure stuff is now you're seeing all these things that are, they've been here for 1,000,000 years, or they communicate to me from another dimension.
Well, and they also put stuff to muddy the waters.
That also could be true. But in that same sentence, all that stuff starts to float to the top. And Dr. Stephen Greer is a very good example of how this thing is in a bigger picture, in my opinion. And yeah, you're right. There are some ideas out there. They're not his ideas. And these are ideas that have been floating around for a long, long time. Tesla, the Egyptians, all that stuff. He's gravitated to them because they all help perpetuate his idea and his story, which again goes back to, he'll say certain things and have proof for certain things, which we'll get into. And then you're like, whoa, that's crazy.
And then he'll say something crazy.
Like I'm getting emails from Dr. from the dimension.
Right.
And
then
it's
he starts talking about wacky stuff. It's like, dude.
Hold on.
You had me, but when you start losing the guys that are actually on your team, you're like, man, come on, dude.
You're making even the crazy dudes.
It's like going out with a buddy and who you like to go out and party with, but then he gets too crazy. You're like, bro, I'm down for getting crazy, but I'm not doing that.
It's like this line. That's the last time I'm inviting you out with me, man.
See?
But yeah, we'll talk about some of the theories and stuff next. Dark Side of the Stream. I'm 104.7 The Cave. .7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio. This is Dark Side of the Stream, episode 166. Jay's pick this week: The Lost Century and How to Reclaim It.
I think we failed to mention that we wanted to do this a long time ago, but it cost money to buy it. I found it for free, and that's why I was like, Mike, before they take it
Before they take
down,
it down, let's
watch
watch it.
this and let's do
It's
it.
still up, by the way.
It's on YouTube for free.
But yeah, like I said too, though, to counteract what Stephen Greer has been just perpetuating, like this information should be free for everyone, clean energy,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Well, yeah, dude, I'm not denying that, but how the hell can you expect the inventor who's worked his life on this stuff that could literally change the world and wants to benefit from it, and you're like, you shouldn't do that. That's wrong. But hey, let me charge you
now,
for the movie I
made. The one
Please.
thing I do have, the one thing that kind of doesn't raise a flag, but just makes me question is, if they think the pyramids were used to send out free electricity, this and that, and they know Tesla was working on free electricity through the air and this and that. I would feel that somebody like Elon Musk with his team of scientists would be able to continue on that research and figure it out.
Not just him, but there are a lot of different in the private sector. For example, the companies that have or gotten patents to some of the stuff that Greer's talking about.
Because there was suspicious stuff with the Tesla thing, with the government seizing all this stuff.
Yeah,
and that was
pulling
some shady,
it out. There's
very shady stuff happening.
Some of his work. There are some of the guys that he discusses in this documentary that have either discovered or come upon fusion. For example, was that guy Eugene Malov,
and they won't give them patents.
He supposedly figured it out and then was like basically beat to death while he was cleaning his parents' home.
Weird stuff. Yeah.
One of the guys that came out with the water engine.
Yeah.
He was poisoned at a Crackle Barrel.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but again, they also say that he died. And if you you're like, oh my God, they poisoned him, they're trying to squash it. But if you look, the official investigation said he died of a cerebral aneurysm. So again, and one of the investors that he worked with said, I don't know where the hell this poisoning thing came through. I actually financially supported this guy for years. I was a friend of his. I don't know.
And also, if you're playing around with sending energy through the air, I would assume it could jack your head up. You know what I'm saying?
Well, it could be in all the weird
stuff.
And there was a guy on there that supposedly has this wireless energy magnetic thing that he's created, that he's got it. And he said that he spent time in prison. They said the government got a hold of him and
if anybody ever makes any kind of patent about this,
there's a lot of and again, it might not be the government. Private corporations have enough power to do this stuff on their own too. Yeah. And to dress up in a guy in a black suit and walk in with a badge, if you're just some nerdy science inventor dude sitting behind a desk all the time, how are you gonna see? They're already going after Jay.
Yep, that's it. They're coming to get me.
He's been working on
for finding this for free on YouTube. Damn
How do I cloak out of this room? How do I cloak out of this bedroom immediately? Boom. That's the kind of free energy Jay's working on. But yeah, like I said, there are all these things that, the pyramids and Tesla and all these things that have been worked on, and they go back centuries.
Yeah.
Some of these things and these inventions are like you getting stuff from the Department of Energy that are from like 1984, and we're talking 40 years now.
Well, like I said, those pyramids, some are saying that they were used to send electricity
wirelessly
way back, way before we got hit by meteorites and we had to start over again and stuff. So
or floods or whatever, or maybe from the aliens hit reset. We don't know, but we'll talk more about some of these crazy theories in the Lost Century. Dark Side of the Stream continues next on 104.7 The Cave. Mike, the intern, Jay Stevens, back in the studio. Dark Side of the Stream, episode 166.
Man, it's a lot of episodes.
I don't know. We've done this for a long time. A couple of years now. It's the Lost Century and how to reclaim it. So how did these weird, fusion, wireless technology, all this stuff come into play with UFOs? Well, basically, Greer is making the claim that these extraterrestrials have been visiting us for thousands of years. They're actively on our planet. They've got bases all over the world. I think he's claimed like hundreds, if not thousands, all over the world underground that we know about, some that have been buried. But essentially, the idea that they've been coming here, the government and private corporations have seized these crafts, reverse engineered them, discovered that they are able to not only work with fusion, but also create what they call a plasma shield. And what that means is if you do figure out how to travel faster than the speed of light, anything inside is going to be very, very the potential to be killed in
Yeah.
something moving that fast or stopping that quick, as they reportedly are able to do, would be an issue. Now, if you actually create some sort of plasma shield around that, the stuff inside isn't affected by what's happening outside, is if I got the science of how they are explaining it correctly.
Yeah, it's very, very
like the
complex
glow
stuff.
of a UFO is what you see, is what they say is this plasma shield,
right,
so that everything, it can move in this world faster, but
instantaneous,
inside of it
and
doesn't
move
work.
to
Yeah,
other
it doesn't
places,
work.
right.
It's not in the same kind of
Laws of physics that
laws
we
of
are.
physics don't work that way.
Yeah.
But essentially, that's what we're dealing with, and that's what Stephen Greer has been fighting to get out for years and years and years. God love him. He's a doctor, and I mean, he had his own practice, and at a certain point just said, "Screw it,
chase all this."
I believe in this so much now."
Well, much like the guy from Blink 182, and then look, all that stuff that he was talking about is all what the government's talking about now. So
I don't know.
we all thought he was crazy all those years. Now we're like, well, maybe he wasn't so crazy.
I think ultimately what I come back to is that with what I've said since day one, and this has all started since last year, which was, I'm just going to take as much information as I possibly can and try and digest what I can and understand what I can, but also take it all with a giant grain of salt.
Yeah.
Because
there also are guys putting out misinformation out there too.
Also that too. Muddy the waters.
To muddy the waters for the government.
They say that some of these guys that have been, putting all this stuff out to plant. Dr. Stephen Greer could be a plant.
Could be a plant too, yeah. So, it's all.
I don't know.
Maybe 2024 will be the year to
fingers
see
crossed,
what's
baby.
going on.
But I'm not as excited as I was this time last year. Because, well, I guess in the spring. No, because you wait and wait and wait. And eventually, you're just kind of like, okay.
You've got
I got to go to work and pay my bills.
A couple of those congressmen are really pushing it, so I appreciate their work.
But the interesting thing is they just keep coming back to stopping it and stomping it out.
Get stopped, yeah.
And so therein lies why.
Well,
I think
somebody's stopping it.
I think it's about money. I think that's what this is all about. Who can control the technology? Who can make the most money from it? But also, like I said, and we talked about this before, if their belief is that, well, man, the public can't handle it because from a religion standpoint, well, no. It ain't about the existence of God. It's the fact that if this is true and the governments have suppressed this knowledge that we all work our butts for to pay our utilities for, cars or whatever,
hosed.
What have we been doing for the last 40 plus years? What are we doing this for? That's going to be a lot bigger of a problem, I think.
So.
We'll see what happens. Either way,
it seems like the government has a pretty bad track record,
Yeah. It's not like,
so it's not like they're, they wouldn't do anything like that.
We've been getting gaslighted by them since day one.
Yeah, we're getting gaslighted still, daily.
We still are. And every country in the world does it. We'll come back with our reviews of this documentary next, Dark Side of the Stream on 104.7 The Cave. Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens back in the studio one more time. Sans aluminum foil hats to discuss the lost century and how to reclaim it. How many tinfoil hats would you
I'm
give
just
this
going,
one?
I'll go 2.5, 3. I wanted it to be better, but like I said, some of it was cool information and some of it was just out there. And I've seen a lot of that stuff. I've watched better YouTube made things by people than this was. And
again, I think Greer likes to latch on to some theories, hold on, put some other theories that are weird, but again, stuff floats, and just keep that in mind. Yeah, too.
But the guy is up there with government people though, hanging out and doing these,
anyone.
So it's
but that's the thing.
weird,
like
man.
a lot of
weird.
those, even your representatives in Congress, they love to talk. That's why they are who they are. That's where they got to where they are. And it don't matter if it's Mike the Intern, Jay Stevens, or a doctor. They'll take the time to talk to them because that's what they do for a living.
That's what we do.
So I could say, oh, I got a lot of connections in this city. Well, it's just because I know a lot of people, and I try to make friends. That's what I do. But I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
you're right.
It just depends on how you paint it. You could say, I know every girl in Springfield. Well, that might be true. But again, you know what I mean? It's all perspective, and it's all how it's
what do
delivered.
You rate this thing?
2. I mean, again, it's not like there wasn't one thing I was like,
I had high hopes.
God.
I had high hopes, and it didn't meet my expectations.
I'll tell you one thing. I'm glad I didn't pay for it.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
We won today. Today we won.
We won.
Power to the people.
Speaking of wins, next week's pick is my pick. And this is one I'm stealing from Jay. It's a documentary series on HBO. It's a very, very strange story. It's called Love Has Won, The Cult of Mother God.
I watched it, and I texted Mike over the holiday break. I said, bro, We've seen some crazy documentaries. This one might top the list.
We'll see.
And if you've watched some like Abducted in Plain Sight and gone, that's crazy, this one might top that one.
And that's saying a lot because there was some
this
really
one
crazy
is
stuff.
pretty wild, and the fact that it just happened a year or two ago is crazy.
Still kind of happening too.
It's still they're still doing
I mean,
it.
they're still
Oh my gosh,
they're still in it.
All right, watch it.
Either
Love
way,
Has Won on HBO
Love Has
Max.
Won, HBO Max. As always, watch us do this live 9 a.m. On Facebook or YouTube. You can listen to it on my show 9 a.m. or Jay's show at 6 p.m. or as a podcast on our free 104.7 The Cave app. I'm Mike the Intern. That's the talent. Jay Stevens reminding you we watch movies, so you don't have to. It starts out of the stream on 104.7 The Cave.